We start ethics and responsible use by naming predictable failure patterns, especially bias, omissions, and confident errors. Then we build responsibility that works when people are rushed, tools are imperfect, and information is incomplete. We'll use 4 questions: who could be helped or harmed? What could be exposed or inferred? What trade offs are we accepting? And what controls reduce harm at scale? When AI can trigger actions across connected systems faster than humans can review or reverse, guidelines are necessary but insufficient. We also need containment, resilience, and defense, meaning we limit what the system can touch, design for safe failure, and assume exploitation is possible so safeguards are built in from the start. Imagine you're building a tool to identify patients who need extra support. You can't measure need perfectly, so you reach for a shortcut. Need usually leads to more care. More care usually leads to more spending. So the shortcut becomes higher spending means higher need. On the surface, that feels reasonable. It's simple and measurable. Now, the key question is what the shortcut is actually measuring. Spending doesn't just reflect illness. It also reflects whether someone can access care, whether they can afford care, whether they trust the system, and whether the system treats them equitably. If any of these factors block care, then a very sick person can spend less, not because they need less care, but because they are not receiving it. An article in Scientific American describes how a healthcare risk algorithm used spending as the proxy for need. Because Black patients are more likely to face barriers to care, they often had lower healthcare spending than equally sick white patients. When spending was treated as need, Black patients were less likely to be flagged for high-risk care management support. We just saw what happens when a reasonable shortcut gets treated like reality. No one had to be malicious. A design choice interacted with unequal conditions, then scaled. Opacity is the accelerator. Most users never see the proxy, they just trust the output. Then scale turns a small design error into a widespread pattern, and pressure keeps the shortcut in place because it's fast and measurable. When incentives reward speed and polish over fairness, intention is not a safeguard. We need controls that change outcomes and make problems easier to detect. Here's our definition of responsible use. Responsible use means we prevent predictable harm where we can, detect problems quickly when they occur, and make ownership explicit. If no one owns the decision, no one fixes the system that produced it. Controls, not reminders, change outcomes. Reminders depend on perfect behavior under pressure. Controls change what's possible, what's likely, or what's visible. In the healthcare example, be careful would not reveal that spending was the stand-in for need. Controls would, by making the proxy visible, adding gates before high-impact decisions, and setting boundaries on what data can drive outcomes. AI is increasingly connected to other tools. Some systems can take actions, not just answer questions. When actions happen faster than humans can review each step, reminders don't scale. That's when boundaries, gates, and visibility stop being optional and become basic safety. Here's what the control toolkit looks like in practice. Boundaries limit exposure, reduce inputs, remove identifiers, and only share what the system truly needs. Limit access, especially when tools can reach files, email, or other systems. Gates make verification non-optional as stakes rise. A gate might be a quick checklist before you submit, or a required human approval before something gets sent, posted, or acted on. Visibility makes your work explainable. Track sources and decisions, what you accepted, changed, or rejected, so you can catch problems faster and improve the workflow. Shortcuts usually come from pressure. Controls are how we stay responsible anyway. Here's the takeaway. Intention is not a safeguard. Controls change outcomes, boundaries, gates, visibility. Trade-offs create shortcuts, so name them early and design around them. Responsibility stays human. Next, we'll apply the same control toolkit to common failure patterns, privacy and inference risk, attack patterns, environmental impacts, and responsibility at scale.